Michael J. Fox almost died on a movie set, and nobody talks about it. During Back to the Future the 3, a hanging scene went horribly wrong when the rope cut off blood flow to his brain. He dangled unconscious for several seconds before the director realized what happened. But this brush with death was nothing compared to the secret battle he was already fighting. By then, he was working 18-hour days while hiding a devastating diagnosis from everyone. The pressure nearly killed him, in more ways than one. The truth about those years would change everything. Michael Andrew Fox was born on June 9, 1961, in Edmonton, Alberta. His father was a career soldier in the Royal Canadian Corps of Signals, and his mother worked as a payroll clerk and had a quiet love for acting. His childhood carried both the strict order of military life and the spark of creativity from his mother. Growing up as an army brat meant constant movement. Because of his father's 25-year career, the family packed up and moved again and again, living in places like North Bay and Chilliwack. By the time Michael was a pre-teen, he had already lived in 5 different cities. Always being the new kid taught him how to adapt quickly, read situations fast, and use humor to make friends. It wasn't an easy life, but it shaped the quick wit he later became known for. When his father retired in 1971, the family finally settled in Burnaby, British Columbia. For the first time, Michael had a stable home, just as he was stepping into the years that would define him. Like many Canadian boys, Michael first dreamed of playing professional ice hockey. He poured all of his energy into the sport, inspired by stars like Bobby Orr. He was fast and determined, giving everything to the game. But as his teammates grew taller and stronger, Michael stayed small. He eventually stopped growing at just 5 feet 4 inches, a height that made competing at a professional level nearly impossible. It was a crushing blow, forcing him to let go of his NHL dream and look for a new path where size didn't matter. That path appeared in a surprising place. He had been teaching himself guitar and playing in garage bands, but in high school he discovered drama class. That same year, at just 18, Michael made the boldest choice of his young life. Despite having offers in Canada, including a starring role in a new show that would have paid $2,000 per episode for 22 episodes, he decided to leave it all behind and head to Los Angeles. He had only $500 in savings, no connections in the industry, and parents who worried that he was throwing away a stable career. His agent warned him that Hollywood didn't usually welcome unknowns, especially not someone his height. But Michael was determined. He found a tiny studio apartment in West Hollywood for $200 a month and lived on bologna sandwiches and generic cereal. He dreamed of stardom, but the city gave him a harsh welcome. At first he managed to get a few auditions, but by 1980 the phone had stopped ringing. His bills piled up until he owed $10,000 on credit cards. Agents stopped calling, and his landlord threatened eviction. At one point, he survived an entire week on just $1.50, buying nothing more than day-old bread. In 1981, things got so bad that he sold his sectional couch piece by piece just to pay the rent. The first section brought him $50. Then he sold another. During this time, he auditioned for more than 100 roles and failed to land any. The constant rejection left him depressed and thinking about quitting. By the summer of 1980, he was flat broke, a reminder that Hollywood rejected about 90% of newcomers at the time. Still, these years hardened him in ways he didn't yet understand. His first film break came with Midnight Madness, which opened on February 8, 1980. He played Scott Larson, a bratty college kid who appeared for less than 5 minutes. The job paid him $2,000 for 2 weeks of work, just enough to keep his $500 rent covered for a short while. The film itself, a Disney comedy, cost $4 million to make, but earned only $2.9 million. During the summer of 1979, while filming, he was so underfed that he fainted one day after eating nothing but rice for days. He had beaten 200 other hopefuls for the role, but the part led to no new offers. He used the check to pay down $1,500 in debts. By January 2000, the physical strain became too much. Fox explained that he felt his face hardening and his movements growing stiff. Viewers could see him holding onto desks or walls in later episodes. On January 19, 2000, he announced he was leaving Spin City. His co-stars were devastated. Barry Bostwick cried in interviews, wishing him luck in his fight against the disease. Charlie Sheen was brought in to replace him for the last 2 seasons. Fox made 3 final guest appearances to give fans closure. When Michael J. Fox launched the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research in 2000, he was just 39 years old. He had already been secretly living with the disease for 9 years, after being diagnosed in 1991 at the age of 29. What started as one man's mission quickly grew into a powerhouse that reshaped how Parkinson's research was done around the world. By 2006, The Guardian called it the largest private funder of Parkinson's research. Unlike most medical research groups, the foundation kept close control of its projects, giving money directly to scientists it believed had the best chance of finding a cure. The New York Times even described it as the most credible voice on Parkinson's research in the world. By 2022, the foundation was funding more Parkinson's research than the entire United States government, an achievement few would have thought possible when it all began. The scale of its fundraising has been remarkable. As of 2023, the foundation had raised over $2 billion for Parkinson's projects, making it the single largest nonprofit supporter of research into the disease worldwide. In 2024 alone, community fundraising events reached a record-breaking $53 million in just 1 year. That summer, 4 men, including one with Parkinson's, rode 2,800 miles from California to Hawaii over the course of 41 days in the Team Human-Powered Potential Challenge. Their effort inspired donations that added up to $41 million, boosted by an anonymous donor who agreed to triple match every contribution. Even small campaigns produced enormous results. Back in November 1984, the first actor cast as Marty McFly was Eric Stoltz. He had recently won praise for his role in Mask and seemed like a strong choice. But after more than a month of filming, director Robert Zemeckis realized something was wrong. Stoltz was taking the role in a darker, more serious direction that didn't fit the playful energy he wanted. On January 10, 1985, Zemeckis delivered the difficult news himself. Stoltz was replaced by Michael J. Fox, though he still received his full salary. The studio had already spent a fortune on filming. In fact, only one brief shot of Stoltz remained in the final film, the moment when Marty punches Biff in 1955. Zemeckis later admitted firing Stoltz was the hardest moment of his career, even though he believed Stoltz was a brilliant actor. The decision put Fox under an exhausting schedule few in Hollywood could endure. From mid-January through mid-March 1985, he spent his days filming Family Ties at Paramount, from 10 in the morning until 6 in the evening, then rushed to the Back to the Future set at Universal, working from 6:30 at night until 2:30 in the morning. Fridays were even more punishing. He rehearsed Family Ties from noon until 5, performed 2 live tapings for the studio audience, then started filming again at 10 p.m., often working until sunrise. The crew sometimes had to physically carry the 24-year-old actor to bed. He was so sleep-deprived that he once looked for a camcorder on the Family Ties set, only to realize it was actually a prop from the film. This routine lasted 2 full months until Family Ties wrapped in April 1985. A few years later, while filming Back to the Future Part 3, Fox had a terrifying brush with death. During a hanging scene on the gallows, he first stood on a safety box, hidden from the camera. The problem was that the effect didn't look real. Determined to make the scene convincing, Fox insisted on trying it without the box, using his hand to keep the rope from tightening. On the 3rd take, he miscalculated, and the rope cut off the blood flow to his brain. He lost consciousness and dangled helplessly for several seconds until Robert Zemeckis realized what was happening and ordered him cut down. Fox later said, The director's quick action saved his life. Without it, he could have suffered permanent brain damage or worse. Despite the struggles, the trilogy became one of the most loved franchises in film history. The original movie, released in 1985, earned nearly $400 million worldwide on a budget of just $19 million. In 2007, the United States Library of Congress chose it for preservation in the National Film Registry, calling it culturally and historically significant. Fox didn't just play Marty McFly, he also portrayed Marty's son and even his ancestor Seamus, showing his range. The phrases, the DeLorean, and even the number 1.21 gigawatts became part of everyday culture. Fox compared the film's timelessness to The Wizard of Oz, pointing out that children never thought of it as an old movie. Even decades later, the trilogy continues to inspire new fans, with reunions and charity events keeping the spirit alive. The film's success launched Fox into instant stardom. Only a month later, Teen Wolf was released, turning the summer of 1985 into the defining moment of his career. More hits followed, including The Secret of My Success, Light of Day, Casualties of War, and Doc Hollywood. After 5 years away from television, Fox is set to return in 2025 with a guest appearance on Apple TV+'s Shrinking, a reunion with his Spin City co-creator, Bill Lawrence. Fox also built a remarkable literary career. His first book, Lucky Man, became a #1 New York Times bestseller and made him one of the most respected voices in memoir writing. He followed it with 3 more bestsellers, Always Looking Up, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Future, and No Time Like the Future in 2020. 3 of his audiobooks earned Grammy nominations, with Always Looking Up winning Best Spoken Word Album in 2010. His books told the story of how he faced his illness while holding on to his optimism, though his most recent memoir was more candid about the difficulties that had nearly pushed him to give up on that outlook altogether. He described not just the fight against Parkinson's, but also surgeries, falls, and the daily challenge of simply moving forward. On January 4, 2025, Fox received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Joe Biden at the White House. He was one of only 19 people to receive the honor that year, joining an elite group of leaders, activists, and Nobel Prize winners. The White House praised his resilience and optimism and called him a fearless advocate for those living with Parkinson's. By then, his foundation had already raised more than $1.75 billion since its founding. In his speech, Fox said he was grateful to share the recognition with patients, families, and researchers who were working together to bring an end to Parkinson's. The ceremony was also attended by Denzel Washington, Bono, and Anna Wintour, among others. Later that year, Fox surprised the world again by returning to acting after 5 years. In May 2025, he joined the cast of Shrinking for Season 3, marking his first television role since The Good Fight in 2020. The role held personal meaning since the show had already introduced a character with Parkinson's, played by Harrison Ford. On set, the cast and crew took every precaution to support him, knowing the challenges he faced with movement and speech. For Fox, the decision was about more than acting. It was proof that Parkinson's would not decide his limits. In October 2025, Fox will release his 5th book, Future Boy, Back to the Future, and My Journey Through the Space-Time Continuum. Timed for the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future, it focuses on the single year of 1985, when he starred as Marty McFly at night, while filming Family Ties during the day. He described that period as a time when time went rogue and took me with it. The memoir includes new interviews with cast members and offers stories that have never been told before. Written with Nell Fortenberry, who also serves on his foundation's board, Fox described it as less of a memoir and more of a reflection on identity and purpose. Now, at 64 years old, Fox has become open about the challenges of living with Parkinson's for more than 3 decades. He admitted recently that it is getting harder every day. Still, he has not lost his humor. When his wife Tracy Pollan shared a birthday message on Instagram, Fox replied that he wasn't getting older, only more grateful. He has spoken candidly about falling often and losing mobility, while close friend Ryan Reynolds described him as someone who falls because he is unafraid to fly. Despite his health struggles, Fox remains at the center of groundbreaking research, including a $100 million project focused on identifying biological markers for Parkinson's.